All right. Hey, good evening, family. What up? Welcome to the O&G StrikeZone. As you can see right now, it's just me, Bryan Fulford here. Soon to be joined by Marcus Green, who will be getting off the road, taking care of actually, just coming back from church. So definitely, praying that the Lord is on his side and that he gets here safely. So that he can join me for this action-packed show that we have for you tonight. My other co-host, Kelvin Rozier, is vocally out of commission tonight. So if you are one of the folks on our YouTube page, My JBN Online, you obviously will see Kelvin in there chopping it up with you guys. His fingers are still working, although his voice is not. So say what up to Kelvin and to all the people in the chat room. Thanks for joining us tonight. The O&G StrikeZone, of course, part of the Black College Sports Network and Jericho Broadcast Networks. Want to thank everybody for all the support that you give to our show. If you're following us, make sure you're following us on our social media at O&G StrikeZone on Facebook, on X, Instagram, the YouTube page where you can always get show clips from some of the various segments when we talk to coaches and players and things of that nature, just in case you aren't into or don't have time to listen to the full version of the show. I understand we're all busy people. You're all busy, but wherever and however you're watching, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're sharing the show. That's the biggest thing that the family that's watching us, however you're watching us, you might be even watching us on the Black College Sports Network page on X or on Facebook. Let me see where else. Yeah, or obviously Jericho Broadcast Network YouTube. So anyway, I want to thank everybody. So just continue to share the show and keep the stream, keep the likes up and all the good stuff. So got a loaded show for you tonight, man. We have so much to talk about. We've hit that sweet spot of the calendar, which, as I've talked to many athletic administrators, whether it be SIDs or ADs, assistant ADs, this is the busy season because you have the end of basketball season, which in itself is busy. And then you've also got the start of the spring sports. Well, take that back. You've also got that transition of track and tennis. Track is in the indoor season, soon to be moving to the outdoor season. You've got tennis kicking off again, but you're getting into the spring sports now. You got softball, baseball. Some programs have 2 tennis programs. Don't forget golf. Golf is about to ramp back up. So this is a busy time period for athletic administration. And so it's also very busy for us at FAMU. We've got plenty of things to talk about. Of course, basketball, some good, some not so good, but still it's all interesting conversation. We've also got softball, had a great weekend. Baseball season kicking off. Tennis is doing it's and they're in the non-conference, so it's always a little challenging in the non-conference season for our tennis program right now. And golf will be starting up. And then this weekend, we've got the indoor track championship. So plenty to talk about. But let me bring on my co-host who is able to talk tonight, none other than Marcus Green. Marcus, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing good. I see I got the memo. I'm glad I picked the right shirt.
Exactly. Good to see you got the memo. It's funny how that works out, man. We just that thing we just got, it just kind of works out. I mean, one week we were all wearing black, and it's just crazy how all that works out. So so it's good to have you back on. How you been, man? How's the weather first off in in the Northeast?
It's cold.
I feel like
The
you
high
said that
was like
last
20.
week.
Well, yeah. Well, it's warmer than it was, but I think the high was like 28 today. But yeah, the wind chill is probably like in the. Well, actually, it was a little warmer today. Wind chill yesterday or Sunday was like single digits. Like getting like 50-mile-per-hour gusts. So it wasn't for the faint of heart.
No. And I did see, speaking of cold, I saw something on Instagram where there's supposed to be some new Arctic wind, Arctic freeze temps that's going to be coming through the Southeast.
Oh,
Especially,
really? Ooh.
yeah, like folks in the Atlanta area, Alabama, Mississippi, even northern Florida, I guess, is going to be getting hit with some cold weather. So, yeah, I think it even affected some of the games towards the end of this past weekend. Obviously, this President's Day weekend, there were some games that were affected on Saturday. So, yeah, let me know where you guys are. I see Ezekiel Love checking in. Says it's cold up here, 22 tonight in the DMV. So, yeah, let's do. We got rain down here in Orlando. Wasn't really expecting that. Kylan says global cooling. Exactly. Demetra said definitely it's a cold night in Tally tonight. So, yeah. Wherever you're checking in with some weather temps, whatever you've heard. And then what's crazy is, so I was in Houston over the weekend, Marcus, broadcasting the Cactus Jack baseball event.
I saw that.
And yeah, first day it was 50 degrees with the dome closed, right? Then it warmed up on Saturday, warmed up into the 70s. Beautiful day, right? Folks in shorts and all this stuff out. And then sure enough, dropped another 30, 40 degrees the next day on Sunday. And then they decided to open the roof with the sun out. Beautiful sunny day. Problem is you had a little bit of wind. So, of course, I think I went through a whole box. You can still hear the sniffles. I went through a good box of tissues. I'm surprised I still have skin on my nose. Thank God for a Kleenex extra double soft version, right? Because I'm telling you, man, it would have been rough. Had you had that stuff we grew up on, that kind of tissue before Kleenex came on and added the extra softness into it, that old Kleenex we used to have when we were growing up, oh man, my nose would be red as Rudolph right now. No doubt still. Yeah. So, yeah. So, I survived, and it was a good weekend. All right, let's kind of get into it tonight. Let's get with the roll call. Let's start with the roll call, Marcus, before we get into the lead story that's buzzing amongst Rattler Nation as it relates to FAMU athletics. So we'll go down the roll call. Let's start with our guy first in the chats, Jimmy Mack. Jimmy Mack, a JBN subscriber as well.
Yep.
Hello, Jimmy.
Sweet.
Good to see you. Exactly. Sweet coming in as well. Investing in champions ticket prices. Marcus, you got any insight? Look, I'm going to be honest, Sweet. The guy that can tell the most about that is in the chat room because I am not investing in champions ticket bracket. Whenever I can get media passes, I'm on that train. So we can talk about it, but I don't have much to give. I'm assuming it rubbed people the wrong way. I don't know. We'll talk about it as we go tonight if we have some time. Bull checking in. Good to see you, Bull. Thanks for checking in. Melissa Wilson checking in.
Hey, Melissa.
Exactly. The high. I get that in for you in honor of Kelvin.
The
exactly.
high.
Meredith. Good to see you, Meredith.
Uh-huh.
And there's our guy, of course, Kelvin, as mentioned. Not with us on screen, but his fingers are good. So as long as whatever meds he's on doesn't kick in, he now if he starts typing crazy, some crazy, that's whatever meds he's on has kicked in on another level. So I'm just putting it out there now. If you hear some crazy talk from Kelvin, that's just blame it on the meds. That's all I'm gonna tell y'all to do. All right. Gail, good to see you, Gail. Thanks for being a JBN subscriber as well. Alice, Ken, say hello to you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you as well. Let me see.
Demetra.
Demetra. Congratulations again to Demetra, winner of our season basketball pass. And Marcus, I saw a picture, and I don't know if I retweeted or maybe we just shared it internally, but nice seats though.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but hopefully the basketball teams will provide plenty of enjoyment.
Yeah. We'd like to, Demetra, make sure to let us know some of the funniest things you heard. When you're that close to the bench, I know you get to hear all kinds of stuff. So you feel free to, anything that you can share, that I'm sure, within reason. Yeah, within reason, right? B Starts, thanks for checking in. B, appreciate you. My guy Tony, checking in. Tony, the hot, checking in. Good to see you as well. Thank you. Let's see, Bull offering a little advice there. I don't know. Is that just for all of us, or is that just for Kelvin because he's on some meds?
He's got to go to work tomorrow.
Who has to go to work?
Kelvin.
Does he really?
Well, I don't know. Maybe not.
That
but
sucks.
Crown Royal with dental medicine probably wouldn't.
You ain't going to work tomorrow. You're gonna sleep right through that alarm at 6 o'clock in the morning. Definitely. Little baby, what up, little baby? Good to see you. Thanks for checking in. Ashton Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see you, Ash. Mary 305 checking in from South Florida.
Hi, Mary.
Thank you for being a JBN subscriber as well. Our good friend Chuck checking in from Monroe, Louisiana.
That's right.
Tamara T, thanks for being a JBN subscriber, checking in. Good to see you. Alice McCullough from the 561, Palm Beach County, baby. Good to see you, Alice. My guy Drew checking in, driving all over the country, man. Drew been everywhere, man. He's been as far west as Oakland for the All-Star weekend with Morehouse, and so now he's I think he's heading on the road to Louisville. Where is AD Drew? That's the new game. I always ask him. I said, where's AD Drew today now? So good to see you, brother. Kenya, good to see you, Kenya. Thanks for checking in. Marcus, appreciate you. Marcus coming in. Thank you for being a JBN subscriber as well. Good to see you, Edwin. Thank you for coming in and checking in. Appreciate you. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Gerald. I'm trying to hold it down as best as possible, But I got Marcus here, so a little bit of stress is off. See? Kylan, appreciate you. Free Marcus. He's here. He's here. He made it. He made it. He made it. He made it. Everybody calm down. It's all good. It's all good. Let me see. Who else? Jay Hunter checking in. Appreciate you. It's 30 degrees in Louisiana. Okay. Let me see.
Interesting.
Yeah. Adrian Crook checking in. Let's see. All right. Checking in. Appreciate you. James Austin. He wants right to it. We got a defensive coach yet, Marcus? What can you tell us? I think we got one, but is it official yet?
Oh, I don't know. Oof.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, James, come on over to our MyJBN YouTube chat. We got a couple people in there who they got all the tea. They know. Now, whether they say or not, that's another story.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie Daniels checking in. Good to see you, Carrie. Appreciate it. Let's see. EA, good to see you, EA.
Did you already say what's up to Gerald? Did you say it earlier?
I did say
you did.
Gerald.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Gerald. Pumping out some great stories. Tallahassee Democrat, of course, covering everything, man. Covering baseball.
Gerald might know if we have a defensive coach, but he's not going to say.
That's why I said the people in the JBN chat, they know. They know. They may not be saying, but they know. So it is what it is. But yeah. So we got all kinds of football news to talk about. I know we talked about some of the other sports, but we got football news to talk about. Former players that'll be participating in the HBCU Legacy Bowl. Coach Colsey dropping some interesting nuggets. We even have some info regarding volleyball as our Coach Gokhan Yilmaz, he was on the 220 quarterback club luncheon this afternoon. He dropped a few interesting nuggets. We'll talk about that a little bit in the show. So yeah, Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Let's get going, Marcus, with the lead story. I think it's fair to call what our men's basketball team is doing right now the lead story. Would you agree or disagree?
And right now they're the hottest team, so they're
They
doing it up. Mm-hmm.
exactly. They're the hottest team. At least, I'm gonna say the hottest team in the SWAC. Might even say the hottest team in HBCU basketball right now, as after winning a pair of road games in Texas, including a game winner against Texas Southern by Milton Matthews. Shout out to Milton, friend of the program, came on the show last Wednesday. The boys came back home and won a pair of games against Jackson State and Alcorn. And the thing about those two games, as you see there, this was the first set of games where you met your opponent once. If I'm not mistaken, Marcus, I think these were the first two opponents that we have already seen once during the season.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always that, especially if you lost or if you won, they're on edge. We got to protect home court. We went out to Mississippi a few weekends ago, beat both of these teams in their crib. And so both of them were highly juiced up to win this contest. And so with the pair of wins, FAMU has won 9 of the last 10 games. I mean, for anybody who forgot, we started the season 0-3, but take into consideration who we played at the beginning of the season: Bethune-Cookman, Southern, and Grambling. And I remember Coach definitely said that was the toughest 3 teams he thought in the SWAC. Obviously no disrespect to what anybody else is trying to do. And we'll get to the standings in a second, but he said it. And sure enough, it's coming to fruition. Guys started getting healthy because I think even during that period, he didn't have everybody. And now what we're seeing is this full squad, Marcus, they're on fire. This team is on fire right now. Yeah, so
completely, and it's good to see. And even in some other chats, there's some players that were making their mark, but that haven't really been seen recently. And I'm thinking, the young man Washington,
mm-hmm.
And I think I can't remember his name. I have to look at the roster. A transfer from Alabama who is like a shooter, and I don't know if we've seen him pop in this year yet, but everybody's hitting on cylinders, and coach has got everybody playing at a high level, playing committed, and kind of in alignment with what Mr. Matthews said last week about the team being cohesive. So it's some exciting times.
Yeah, definitely. The Jackson State game, and of course I was in Houston with some friends. Of course, Charles Bishop, who covers Jackson State alum, Jackson State through and through. But we were talking about that game, and I'm gonna tell you what, that game was not even close. The final score is not indicative of how close that game was. That game was not close. We led by as much as 20 for most of the game. I'm trying to look and see what the largest lead of that game was. I know it was in the 20s, because when I saw it in the 20s, I had to flash it over at them and say, "Yo, we are smoking y'all right now." Yeah, there were only 2 lead changes in the game. Of course, leading scorer was Sterling Young off the bench. Thank you, Slat. The largest lead was 25.
Ooh,
yeah.
I was looking at that. I was like,
Yeah. It's been a long time since we have been this excited about FAMU basketball. And Kylan just said since the Gillespie days, and honestly, that was the last time we had. Actually, Gillespie is the second winningest coach at FAMU. I mean, that just tells you. We won 2 conference tournaments that year, or during his tenure, went to the NCAA tournament twice. So The guys are rolling. Sterling Young, how about coming off the bench, scoring 28 points in 30 minutes? 8 of 14 from the field, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. He was 10 of 10 at the free throw line. Great day for Sterling Young. Milton Matthews scored 15. And Jordan Chapman scored 14. He was 3 of 9 from the arc. FAMU shot 9 of 21 from the three-point arc. And you know, I want to mention the defense because coach has wanted me, you know, we talk about the offense and we rarely talk about how good this team is defensively. They held Jackson State to 3 of 18 from the three-point arc.
Ooh.
3 of 18. And juxtapose that, add that to the next night when they held Alcorn to 0 threes. I think Alcorn was 0 of 8 from the three-point arc. I mean, that's damn near unheard of. I mean, that is really impressive for a team that shoots it as well as we do to be able to turn and play defense as well as we've been playing. I was trying to see any other stats that stood out from that game. Moving over to the Alcorn game against Alcorn on Monday night. Again, another team that we beat the first time we went to Mississippi. FAMU gets an 85-76 victory in that contest. And I don't know. Yeah, we never trailed in that game. Not once. From start to finish, we led the game. Milton Matthews, team high 26 on 9 of 19 from the field, 3 of 19 from the arc. 4 guys scored in double figures. Jadarius Eatman scored 16. Shakir O'Neal scored 12 and had 10 rebounds, a nice double-double. Jordan, Sterling Young had 11 points. Jordan Chapman had 10. What'd I say? 4? That's 5. That's 5 players in double figures. And then Roderick Coffey finished with 8. And I swear I'm just sitting there watching the game, and I'm thinking Rod was like 2 points away from getting a bucket, and we would have had 6 players scoring in double figures in that contest. Exactly. We shot 41.7% from the arc. I mean, just blazing. 10 of 24 from the arc. And again, holding Alcorn to 0 of 8. I mean, damn, that's impressive. That's impressive.
With Alcorn's offensive style, I don't know, do they take a lot of threes?
I know Coach, I feel like everybody takes a lot of threes these days, but I do think Coach put an emphasis. I heard him in the post-game press conference. He said that was a point of emphasis to limit Alcorn's three-point shooting. You know, so that was definitely a point of emphasis there in that contest. We only committed 7 turnovers. That's look. Now we're taking care of the ball.
I saw that. I was like, ooh, I was really impressed between that, the free throws, and the reduced up until the end. We were single digit in terms of fouls as well. So I was really impressed.
We only committed 10 turnovers against Jackson State. I mean, the formula is clear. I mean, Coach came on the show and talked about the formula. I mean, if you can shoot the ball well, but more importantly, if you can limit your mistakes, limit your turnovers, right? All you do is enhance your opportunity to win. And so we're seeing that, and it is you finally see Marcus people getting on the bandwagon. I'm looking at most of the national HBCU rankings and people of that nature. Anyone who's got a poll, everybody's got FAMU somewhere in the top 5. I think some people have them as high as 2 or 3.
Ooh,
some people as low as 4 and 5. Right? Everybody who's got an HBCU basketball poll right now has us in that mix right now. And rightfully so. 9 of the last 10 victories for FAMU. Now let's take a look at the standings, which, I was super excited waking up on Tuesday morning. You saw the tweet. Woke up Tuesday morning, FAMU's in second place. By virtue, of course, we own the tiebreaker with 2 wins over Jackson. So we can firmly say we are firmly in second place. But take a look, Marcus. I mean, this thing is not done. I mean, you got Alabama State, who we play this weekend,
And
Texas
we lost by
Southern.
1 point, I think. Was that the
It
one
was
where
1 point? Yep. And we had
we
the
didn't
ball
get the
with
shot
13
off in time?
seconds. Yep, had the ball with 13 seconds left. That's the only loss in this last 10 games was to Alabama State at home. Of course, Texas Southern, we only have to play them once. We've already played them. We still have to play Bethune at the end of the season in Daytona. Mm-hmm. And then Alcorn, we've beaten twice. So, 3, 4, 5, 6,
From the
7.
East. I mean, I don't know. Are we doing divisions in basketball?
Nope. Top 10 teams.
Okay.
What you see there is essentially the top 10 teams. So if the tournament were to start this week, Alcorn would be the 7 seed, Grambling the 8, Alabama A&M the 9, Prairie View would be the 10. Those teams would have to play the opening round, and then they would advance to take on teams that playing in the quarterfinals. So I think FAMU would end up playing. I think the winner of the 7-10, I think, is how the format goes. Because the 8-9 would go play Southern. And again, we still have to play Southern at home. We still have, so this upcoming weekend, obviously, a big weekend series. We go to Alabama, take on Alabama A&M and Alabama State. Then we return home for the final homestand with Southern and Grambling, and then we travel to Daytona. So only 5 games left on the schedule. Yeah, exactly. Tough stretch. We're gonna have to win out. I mean, it's so fluid. It's so fluid right now with this with the standings. Anything you want to add there as you look at these standings?
It's impressive. I mean, I don't know if Coach probably had envisioned this. I can't really say I honestly envision being at this point being at this level of standings at this point in the season. So I'm impressed. Everyone's bought in on the team. Coaches bought in, and not for a 1 point loss, we'd be looking at 10-3.
Yep.
With the only 3 losses to teams who at the time came in very experienced, and I believe, if I remember, Grambling was the defending conference champs on the men's side.
Regular season, regular season and conference.
Between them, Southern, and Bethune, coming out the gate, we'd be looking at double-digit, and still maybe looking at double-digit conference wins within season 1.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just want to give some praise to Sterling Young, who was recognized by HBCU Plus for their National Men's Player of the Week. You can see what Sterling did, of course, as we mentioned, averaging 25 over the 2 games, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, and definitely more importantly, what he did in that first game where he scored 28 in 30 minutes. That was pretty impressive. Did you catch Coach's post-game commentary again after Jackson State? Did you happen to catch that?
I did not. Okay. He didn't look happy.
He was a little fired up. He was a little fiery. A great viral moment there captured and posted by HBCU Game Day Vaughn Wilson. I agree 100%, Drew. I think it's a 2-man race for Coach of the Year. I think obviously what Southern is doing, if Southern were to somehow maintain their lead and finish with just 1 conference loss, but when FAMU and Southern play, if FAMU gets that win, even if Southern still goes on to win the regular season, I think Prairie will get it because of 2 factors here. A, people will look at the fact that he had a 1-year contract coming in, He was new, changing in administration, and I think that'll turn over for him. Definitely, that'll definitely turn over for him. But yeah, I think it's down to a two-man race between Crary and Southern's coach, who I think is in his second year. Yeah. I want to drop a little nugget here. Where I was going with that coach's press conference on after the Jackson State game was, for those of you who pay attention to these kind of things like I do, FAMU was an underdog at home against Jackson State. About a road dog, Mike Reed, you can tell me, confirm this, about a 2 or 2.5 point home underdog. That's crazy to me. Again, those of us who pay attention to those things, we scored big time when we grabbed FAMU as an underdog on the road at Prairie View. Prairie View is not very good, and that just seemed like free money. If we had a show Monday, I'd have said, back up the Brinks truck, Marcus. Take, spend a paycheck on it because it'll come home, and it did big time. I mean, we blew them out. Exactly. Easy pizza money. Exactly. Easy money. But coach was fired up because he was talking about the fact that, folks, when Vegas is not even expecting much, it's like, what do you want to say? But I think that number quickly adjusted against Alcorn. FAMU went from being a home underdog against Jackson State to a 3.5 point favorite against Alcorn, and easy covered. And my guy Mike Reed sent this to me. Florida A&M right now has the second highest against the spread cover margin in the nation. 300 and something basketball teams in the 375, 6, 7 NCAA basketball teams. Florida A&M is second. They have an ATS, that's against the spread, record of 18-5. 18-5. That's a 78.3% win margin. So whether FAMU is a dog or a favorite, and we've been a dog a lot, FAMU has covered. So we will be paying attention to the lines this weekend when we travel up to Alabama. Those of you who take part in those kind of things, FAMU is a good bet in many ways. That's all I'm gonna say. Definitely a good bet. But congrats to Coach Crary. And Coach said the bus is left. He said the bandwagon. I wish he would leave the doors open. I'm driving the bus, Marcus. And I'm trying to open the doors. Coach is like, nah, B. They didn't want to get on the bus back when we were losing the first 3 games, or when we had that slow winning streak. They only gave him 1-year contract. I'm driving the bus, Marcus. So I mean, if Coach don't, I'm gonna try to let a few more people on the bus, but you better get on now, or just follow the bus. We going to Atlanta. Make sure you come to Atlanta for the SWAC tournament. That's all I'm gonna tell you. I better see so much orange and green, it's gonna make the SWAC get sick. That's how much orange and green I want to see in Atlanta for the SWAC basketball tournament. Y'all better show up. Beat us there. Don't meet us there. Beat us there, because we will be in the house. No doubt. Let's do this, Marcus. Let's take our first break. Come back. Got a few other sports to talk about. Maybe a little softball action. Obviously, there's some baseball, football, women's basketball to talk about. I have an interesting stat, Marcus. I know, right now, the women's basketball team is going through a tough patch, right? Lost 2 games at home. They kind of lost 3 in a row. I know, man, Marcus. There's some people who are getting off the bus. There's some people getting off the bus. But I'm gonna tell you, Marcus, I went back and looked. There have been darker days in the SWAC, and we need to not forget that. And I will remind you all how dark those days were when we first entered the SWAC, and why, when I look statistically at what this team is doing, we are not far away. Hang tight with us. Coming up on the other side of this break. At the top of the hour, we're going to talk to Zach McKinnell from FCS Football Central on SI. He is live in New Orleans at the HBCU Legacy Bowl. So we're going to get all the tea on on our guys who are playing in the HBCU Legacy Bowl this weekend. So we're gonna find out more about those guys. So hang tight. You're watching O&G StrikeZone right here on the Black College Sports Network. We will be back in just a moment.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian Fulford, Marcus Green here. A man down, Kelvin Rozier. He's in the chat room, though. If you're on the chats on my JBN online, you can catch Kelvin in there chopping it up with everybody. So yeah. Marcus, are you ready to talk? Are you ready to talk some softball?
Sure.
You sure, Marcus?
I'm positive.
I don't know, Marcus. I don't know. Hold on a second, Marcus. Hold on a second.
Yeah! Y'all ain't ready. But. Y'all ain't ready. But. Are you ready? Yeah! Are you ready? Yeah! Y'all ain't ready. But.
I'm ready, Marcus. I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready.
I am stunned and amazed. She's like the smallest player out there, and I was like holding on to my chair.
Hey, look, I feel like I got to play that every time I get ready to talk softball for the rest of the year, because that is so dope. I'm just like that's like the theme. That's the new anthem. Shout out to the softball, the ladies, man. Who exactly. Our girlfriend of the program, Iria Young. Yeah, softball had a really, really good weekend. This weekend up in Covington, Georgia. which is just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. So again, this was the classic that, and I'm slapping my wrist because I can't remember the name of the tournament. So I know Area, you're in there. If you could remind me what the name of the tournament was. But essentially what you had is you had a host of SWAC schools and a host of MEAC. A&T was in it, so former MEAC schools, right? We played we were scheduled to play all non-SWAC schools. Unfortunately, because of the weather that came around Sunday, all the Sunday games got canceled. So we only got to play 3 of the 5 games that we were scheduled to play over the weekend. But let me just say this. Overall, the SWAC dominated the MEAC teams. I mean, there was like, we went 3-0, Prairie View went like 4-0, Southern went 3-1, Jackson State, I think, went 4-0. I mean, I don't know if anybody outside of the SWAC. Yes, the Leonard Moody HBCU Collegiate Invitational. Thank you, Erie. So yeah, we housed our opponents over the weekend and started it off with a bang. As Coach Beal got her first collegiate win, at FAMU, as we wiped out North Carolina A&T 7-1 in that opening game. Shout out to Zoriana Hughes, who pitched game number 1. Did a great job, 7-1. Congrats to Coach Beal getting her first win at FAMU. And then that was the first game on Friday. Then we played the second game on Friday, took out Howard 8-1. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little more in depth because Marcus, I think FAMU got another pitcher that people need to pay attention to. A young lady, Amari Brown, got on the mound and she was smoking them, dealing them. 7 innings, complete game. And I'll tell you a little more about her in a second. And then on Saturday,
if I recall, she's one of the signees from Chipola.
Exactly.
Junior college.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly where she's from. Yep. And then we took out Coppin State 14-3. That was the first game on Saturday. We were supposed to play a second game on Saturday, but it didn't happen. That's when sort of the whole, and I don't know, I think it was the scheduling. That game against Coppin took forever. I don't know. Maybe a game before it took a little long or whatever happened, but geez, it took a minute. But yeah, the Rattlers improved to 3-4, won 3 in a row. Of course, our game against North Carolina Central got canceled, and of course, the Maryland Eastern Shore got canceled as well. Given the way that those teams performed against some of our SWAC sisters, we would have won those 2. I feel like we would have won those contests as well. No doubt. Let me tell you about some performances. Like we go into these games, we know about the names. Zoriana Hughes doing the doggone thing with the pitching, right? Zoriana had a great pitching performance. Bree Huggins had a good night, good weekend at the bat. But a couple names that you may not be familiar with, Marcus, because these young ladies, they were killing it. First off, I'm going to start with this young lady right here, Amari Brown, junior, you mentioned from Chipola, a pitcher / utility player. She did it with the glove on the bump and behind the plate. She, as you can see from the numbers, pitched a complete game, 7 innings, only gave up 6 hits, one run, only struck out 1, but batters were 231 against her. A pretty impressive performance in her season debut. And then at the plate, she had this, I believe she has the second or third, I think it's the 3rd highest batting average over the weekend. 429, okay. Yep, 3rd highest. You can see she played in 3 games. She started 2 of them, 3 hits in 7 appearances, scored 4 times, had a double, an RBI, 4 total bases, on base percentage of 600. I mean, just a complete day for this young lady. And so hey, folks, there's a name you got to remember. Keep that in mind. Add that to the list. And we talked about her, right? You remember?
Mm-hmm.
Coach talked about being high on her as well.
Yes, she was one of the early signees.
And then the young lady who had the best hitting night of the weekend, and you can look at the numbers there. True freshman Jamison Townsend, number 3. In total, I'm gonna go to the stats here because I got to give her love here. Over the weekend, she batted .455. Played in 3 games, started 2 of them. You could see what she did against A&T, Howard, and Coppin. Had a pair of homers, drove in a total of 6 RBIs over the 2 days. Just outstanding job by the young lady from Orlando.
Mm-hmm. And it seemed like, just from the highlights, that of course, they're biased, but the highlights put out by the FAMU sports media, it seemed like at least 2 or 3 of the freshmen were getting hits. I mean, they were just showing them between this young lady, Jamison Townsend, Braxton Battle, and what was the other third young lady who was a true freshman?
Yeah, she hit 400 average in the over the weekend.
And then there was a third true freshman that I think at least got 1 or 2 hits. So they showed her knocking in some RBI. So it looks, I mean, this class, I mean, it's the first weekend, so you don't want to overreact, but they don't seem to be scared of the moment.
No. And actually, it's the second weekend. I mean, because remember, we played in that event up at Mercer the weekend before. Although, for some strange reason, none of the statistics from that series are on the FAMU Athletics website, but I know it's a thing right now that we're, we just got to be patient with stuff like that. But so after going 0 for 4 in Macon, we turn around and go 3-0, 3 up, 3 down, and now the ladies are back home. And of course, this weekend they're right in town. They are right there in the backyard, participating in the Joanne Graf Classic. I believe that is the former legendary coach at Florida State. We have Veronica Wiggins. They have Joanne Graf. I mean, just 2 icons in the sport of softball. And so you can see the weekend. We play Florida State tomorrow. That's an afternoon game against Florida State in their backyard. Now, originally there was some talk of playing Texas A&M at our field, but that has since been moved. I don't know all the details as to why, but that the doubleheader against Texas A&M on Friday will be at Florida State Seminole Softball Complex. You can see the times there, 10 a.m. and then 12:30. And then on Saturday, we play doubleheader against Southeastern Louisiana. So, so that's what's up this weekend. It's a good weekend to get over and watch the softball team. Obviously, basketball teams are out of town. Baseball is out of town. Track is out of town. Good stuff. Anything you want to add there on softball? Any updates? Anything, Marcus?
It's looking good. I mean, of course, we have senior leadership, but you look at these last 2 classes of high school signees, between the performance we're seeing now and, of course, Zariana Hughes and other sophomores coming back, going to be a team to reckon with.
Yeah, definitely going to be a team to deal with. So definitely want to encourage you guys to get out and check out the ladies over at Florida State when you can. I'm not sure if any of these games are streaming. I'm checking the athletics page right now. Let me see. Florida State usually does some streaming, some type of streaming. Or maybe even ESPN Plus. So we'll let you know. Make sure you're following us on socials, and we'll kind of let you know whether those games are actually going to be streaming or not. But again, congratulations, ladies. All right. While we're into our women's sports, we gotta bring up women's basketball.
Why are you clearing your throat?
That just happened. That honestly, that did not come out that way, Marcus. It just so happened that I needed to clear my throat. I want to be able to say what I want to say. I don't want to be long-winded about it, but there's a few things I gotta say because I had to do some research, Marcus. I love my data. I love having some data and to go with my thought of what my eyes are seeing. And yes, I know, unfortunately, we lost a pair of games. This is the run back against Alcorn. We lost 74-69. Against Alcorn, we had lost the first time to them in overtime by 3. And yes, I'm 100% with you, Kenya. We should have won both of these games. Both of them. The Jackson State game was probably the most bewildering game. We lose. First off, the score. Now, many times you will see that score and you might think, halftime score, third quarter score. No, sir. That was the final score. Like, I saw that number, Marcus, and I had to, what I put in the chat? How many question marks did I put after I said 37? Really? 37?
Yeah, that was a
37? That's a damn. That's it. But that was a tough game. And what hits you when you look at the statistics from that game, what do you notice down there when you look at the quarter scoring, Marcus? What do you see down there in the quarter scoring?
single digits.
That's the first thing I was thinking as well. Single digits. But not just by us, though, Marcus. I think a lot of people we will look at the 4 points we scored in the second quarter after having a 14-6 lead. And then we'll look at the 2 quarters that you don't want to have single digits. We had them. 4 points in the second to close the first half. 5 points in the fourth quarter to close the game. We never trailed. We never well, all right, let me rephrase that. We never trailed until we did trail at the end of the game in the final minute. But for 38, 39 minutes of the game, FAMU led. We led at the end of the first quarter. We led at halftime. We led at the end of the third quarter. And this is all played with a shot clock, Marcus. I mean, they are playing with a shot clock. These are high school, or not high school. These are college. This isn't a high school girl. I've seen high school girls basketball games like this, not college basketball games. Look at the shooting. The shooting. I mean, while we shot 22%, right? They shot 35. Our 3-point shooting non-existent. But look at Jackson State's free throw shooting, 25%. And do you notice there's a particular stat in there, Marcus? Do you notice a particular stat? Because what's the stat that always people fuss about our girls about?
Turnovers.
Look at that.
I know, 7.
We actually won the turnover battle. We had fewer turnovers than our opponent.
And more rebounds.
And more rebounds.
Free throws. 3-point percentage.
Couldn't win. I mean.
Yeah, those are the two things that, for the most part, all season has been our bugaboo. That and free throws. Between free throws, turnovers, and I don't know, not necessarily rebounds. So this is like a bizarro game.
Yes, it is. And little baby said, I can't understand the quarter scoring. Why are the second and fourth quarters always low scoring? It's a pattern. Yeah, it's a bad pattern. It definitely is. It's troublesome. But look, this is how big Marcus, since we have come into this league against Jackson State, this is as close as we have ever gotten. I'm gonna remind people, and I did the digging. The first time we played Jackson State back in 21, you know how many points they beat us by? Any guesses?
21.
Higher.
Say that again.
Higher.
Higher? Oh, wait a minute. So you say 21? So this is our first season coming off of COVID.
Yep.
And Tamika Reed was 35.
All right.
I don't think I want to go any higher.
56, Marcus.
Oh my God.
They beat us by 56 the very first time we played them back in 20. Probably would have been 22 because that was 21-22. And then the next game we played them 38. Okay, that was year one. Year two, we lost to them by 21-15. Okay. Now, the first year under Coach Gordon, lost to him by 19, lost to him by 27. Again, this is all under the Tamika Reed era, right? We know what those teams were like. We played Jackson State earlier this year. We had a lead going into the fourth quarter, Marcus. We ended up losing by 11. This game, we did what? Led the game for 39 minutes. 3 quarters we led. Had the lead by 3 or 4 points with a minute to go. Couldn't hold on to the game. Right? And I will tell you, I know people are upset. People are looking at this team, but again, the stats. Look at the stats. This team is learning how to win. Now, I know you'll say, oh, but they ain't winning, Bryan. They are learning how to win. Right? We started off from stone cold rock bottom. We first entered the SWAC, Marcus. We were 4-14 in conference play. You know what the average margin of losses were? Year one, 22.8. We lost by an average of 22.8. Not one single loss was a single-digit loss. And that was a year in which we actually won 4 games. One of them was by forfeit, right? And the 3 games we won by was a margin of 3.3. Moving into year 2, it got a little bit better, but we still losing by 11.5 points per game. 3 games we lost by 1 possession. 6 games we lost by single digits. We still only won 4 games, right? That was the end of the previous administration. Now, first year under Coach Gordon, right? We finished 8-10 in the regular season, 8-11 if you count the SWAC tournament, right? And statistically, the losses were still bad losses. 12.5 point per game loss. Only 2 losses were by a single possession. Only 5 were single digits. But again, we're winning games. We won 8 games, and there was a stretch where it was almost like winning 2, losing 2, and we had a rough stretch where we lost about 3 games in a row, and it almost cost us a shot at getting in. So where am I going with this, Bryan? Let me tell you, right now, because I know that's what you're sitting there watching. I mean, Kelvin is going nuts right now. He probably cut the TV off and went to go get a drink. I'm telling you, this team right now, we have lost 5 consecutive games, and our 5 consecutive losses have been by a single digit. Single digit. For the first time in our era in the SWAC, 5 games by a single digit. And I'm talking 1 possession, 2 possession, 2 possession game, 1 to 2 possession games. Now, yes, we've got 5 wins on the rear. Our record is 5-8 right now. Okay. But where I'm going with this, the average margin of loss right now, Marcus, 7.6. Again, where we started in this conference, the average margin of loss was 22.6, and we lost 14 games. We are down to 7.6 in the losing margin. Last year, we won 8. Right now, we're at 5. We have 5 games remaining. Don't jump off the bus. We are learning how to win. It's a process, folks. And I know that's hard because you see what the basketball team is doing. And it's like, oh, they got a first year. Look, don't get me started on trying to compare men and women's basketball. We're not going to go down that road tonight. But I will tell you that we are making improvements from being in the bottom of the cellar. Matter of fact, We were under the concrete. We were in the bottom of the cellar, Marcus. We were under the concrete. That's how bad the women's basketball program was that Coach Gordon took over. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. And I love Coach Pillow, love looking at her. She's great. But we were in the bottom of the cellar, under the concrete.
Yeah.
Okay. So pump the brakes. You know, they got a tough road going up to Alabama A&M, Alabama State. But we're going to compete in those games. And we're not going to talk about who's not here, because I know people want to keep bringing that up. Missing pieces and all. And now we got enough. These girls just have to learn how to finish and win in the fourth quarter. That's it. It's a process. Trust the process, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All right. They're the standings right now. We are sitting in. Look at that race at the top. Again, Jackson State is in the lead, folks. We had Jackson State on the ropes. I'm just going to put that out there, Marcus. The team who is currently sitting in first place, they were dead to right with about a minute to play in the ball game. All right, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to stop. There are the standings. I think, what are we now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sitting in the 7th seed, taking on Alabama State and Alabama A&M.
Yeah. Had a chance to be in the, close, maybe 6th seed?
Yeah, 5th or 6th seed. Right in front. I mean, it was right there for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly. The point is we got to make the playoffs. So I still feel confident that we'll make the tournament and then we'll go from there. Right. One last thing. Shout out to Sydney Hendricks, Impact Player of the Week by the SWAC. She had a good performance over the weekend. So Sydney got her credit. I think she averaged about 17 over the 2 games. Really, really dynamic player. So yeah, there it is. Anything you want to add there on women's basketball, Marcus, before we go to break and get ready to come up with Zach in the next segment?
Nope.
All right. Well, there was my rant. Go ahead and clip it, store it, save it, tweet at me, whatever you want to do. But I'm gonna stand with Coach Gordon. I ain't getting off the bus there yet. So you guys hang tight with me. You know, I'll keep the door open. All right. Coming up on the other side, we're going to talk to Zach McKinnell, find out how our boys are doing at the HBCU Legacy Bowl happening in New Orleans, Louisiana right now. Again, the Legacy Bowl will be this Saturday. So if you're in the New Orleans area, if you're in Louisiana like our friend Chuck Hunt, go on over to Tulane's Stadium and check out this great event. So coming up, Zach McKinnell, FCS Football Central on SI, a.k.a. Blue Bloods. You remember Zach from there. It's the same Zach. Coming up here on the other side. You're watching the O&G StrikeZone right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit HBCUPrideJoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
All right, welcome back to the O&G StrikeZone. Bryan and Marcus here. Before I bring on our next guest, I got to give a couple birthday shout-outs real quick. First off, I give a shout-out to the OG, the legend that is none other than Albert Chester Sr. having a birthday today. FAMU legend, Albert Chester having a birthday today, a friend of the program. And then also, shout-out to a friend of the program, Coach Nia Morgan. Now, used to be just Nia Morgan, the player, but now Coach Nia Morgan, who's coaching with our FAMU softball team. I like to refer to her as the Iron Woman for that amazing year that she had at the plate, behind the plate, I should say, where she caught every pitch in that, what was that, the 22-23 season. Mm-hmm. Every game. That's ridiculous. All right. I got Blue coming on here in a second. I think he got to get his signal here. And then I'm going to bring him in. I think we lost him for a second. So he's coming on. All right. Joining us right now. He is the formerly, look, you all know him originally from just the Blue Bloods, right? But no longer just the Blue Bloods. He is I want to get the titles right here, Zach. You're the man for FCS Football Central on SI. Senior editor, owner. What? Give me the titles, Zach. Make sure I get it right.
Everything. Owner, editor, video. I mean, listen, everything. So hold a lot of titles, man. But I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Hey, it's all good, man. Thank you for coming on. Always good to have you. Appreciate all your coverage of FCS and HBCU football as well. So a lot of things going on, a lot of stuff that we can get into regarding the Legacy Bowl. Year number 3, correct? Or 4? Is it 4?
4.
4. Year number 4 of the HBCU Legacy Bowl. What's different this year? What's changing? Last year ended. There was a little bit of controversy last year. A major injury to a star player. What is different this year? Good, bad, or just needed to change?
I mean, I think the roster's a bit deeper this year, right? Especially because we only had one HBCU prospect earn an invite to the Senior Bowl, one guy go to the Shrine Bowl, and Aaron Smith from South Carolina State. So we didn't have a huge influx of guys go elsewhere, right? Everyone came to the Legacy Bowl. Everybody came to the Combine, and it increased the floor of the talent level. Now, do we have like a top guy, like a Davius Richard? I don't know if we have necessarily that, especially at the quarterback spot, right? Where you're kind of like lacking that star quarterback in this year. But I'll say this, for Team Robinson with the SWAC, this is by far the best offensive line we've had. Man, you guys remember watching the first few years, they couldn't block anybody. Guys, we had people winning MVPs with like 5.5 sacks in the game. You can't have that. And so I think this year you saw, Goss is down there, Evan Henry, you have Kirk Ford. You got like these first team all SWAC guys there, where in years past, like the Mark Evans and those guys, they'd be at the Shrine Bowl, they would be at the Senior Bowl, the Hula Bowl, etc. So I think the overall talent level is a bit deeper this year than it has been in past years.
I know, given after the Davius Richard injury last year at the game, a lot of people they wondered about the future, and they wondered about how this game, guys may not go, anymore, blah, blah, blah. What sense, was there any sense of that? What kind of things are being said? How's it being handled? Is it even being talked about, or am I the only one that's talking about it?
In terms of playing in the game, I don't think there's that many conversations. Now, listen, you guys want to talk about opting out of the combine? The conversations have been plentiful there, because I'm just going to give you guys this. I won't name names. I don't want to put the players on blast. Guys, there were 3 players who were taken off of draft boards because they didn't want to run in the combine.
Yikes.
Like, these kids are getting really, really bad advice from their agents. Like, let's just be honest, guys. The only guys that can go to the combine and not run is if you have a first round tag by your name. If you're the guys who are like the Travis Hunters and whoever who are locked into the first round, you don't have to go run. No one's going to care. But if you're a UDFA, a PFA, a CFL guy, a UFL guy, or a day 3 guy, you have to go improve yourself. And there were a lot of guys who were just like, man, I don't want to run the 40. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And to me, that labels you as you don't have that competitor in you. And that's a red flag to a lot of teams. And I'll just be honest, guys, there were scouts who came down here to see one particular player or another, and those guys don't run. So Marcus and Bryan, if you guys are, let's just say you're a scout from Buffalo, you fly from Buffalo to New Orleans. You're taking time away from your family. You're putting in effort to your job. And the guy you guys came to see just said he didn't feel like running. How would you feel about that prospect?
Yeah.
And it's weird too, because a lot of the guys who opted out of the combine, guys, are at practice right now playing. So that tells the scouts you were healthy enough to run. And to me, let's just say you don't think you're going to run a great 40. If, in my opinion, if you don't run, all that tells me is that you're slower than we think you are, and I got to have a red flag anyway. You're not hiding from these scouts. I mean, they've watched enough film. They've came and seen you at your school. They've been at games. The fact that these kids are trying to hide things or getting advice from their agents, man, there's a lot of guys who have hurt their stock by not playing. And there's not many guys who have played and hurt their stock, because I'll be honest, guys, watching practice, my notes on a lot of these guys haven't changed. And I've heard that from Gerald and some other guys I've talked to, Emery Hunt, some other scouts. No one's really changed anything for the worse. There's a few guys that have improved or jumped on the radar, but no one's really hurt themselves other than the guys who have opted out.
Wow. That's tough. And just to be clear, at that combine, which the combine, was it Monday or Sunday when they did it? Monday. Okay. All 32 teams were there, correct?
Yes. And I want to say some GMs too, if I'm not mistaken.
And is that a first? I feel like that's a first at all 32.
I don't think so. I want to say they've been pretty consistent sending all 32. I think one team last year didn't, but then they sent a different personnel person. There was some conflict or something like that.
Okay. Gotcha. Go ahead, Marcus.
So, Zach, what have you seen from, I guess, a logistics standpoint in terms of how the HBCU combine and the practices and the eventual bowl game, how has it improved from your perspective in terms of being able to expose the athletes to a professional setting and enhance their ability to perhaps get noticed?
I think one is the fact that these guys are getting more opportunities to interview. I think more just kind of getting set up where even if you might not be on the radar, you're able to talk to a handful of teams. And also, too, they've done a good job connecting to the CFL. I mean, I saw a bunch of CFL scouts out there today, and you guys know this, not everyone's an NFL player. And I think that's what sometimes fans fail to realize. If you can get to the CFL, guys, you can make a hell of a living going up and playing in Canada, a hell of a living playing in the UFL now. So the fact that they've been able to connect to some of these other leagues and get these guys in front of them and talking to them after practice, I think that's one of the things. I'll say this, the one thing I guess that's kind of changed a little bit is just I like how they have more media access. So like if you guys have ever been to the Senior Bowl, a lot of those guys don't need the media access, right? Because they're big P4 guys. They're real closed off. It's hard to get to them. It's hard for the scouts to talk to them right after practice, things like that. At the Legacy Bowl, they make these players available. They put them in front of the cameras. They put them in media situations. They put them in front of the scouts, and it allows them to show their personality. Then you have the career fair. Tonight, they I forgot what foundation or what, they brought a bunch of kids into the Saints facility and kind of ran like a practice with the kids in the city and getting them in front of the community, get them in community service. And I think those are the biggest things, man, because we all know like media training is really big. for a lot of these guys, because I mean, listen, FAM does it really well. Jackson did a good job, but some of these kids don't have any media training when they get here. And it's really, really hard to communicate, stand in front of the camera, the interviews behind the scenes. Man, people don't know how intense some of these interviews are with scouts and managers and things. I talked to a player today, man, he had like a 45-minute interview with a team. So just put that in perspective on how many topics you have to be ready for and how mentally agile you have to be to hit all these topics. And who knows if you're talking about scheme, personality, background, whatever it may be. And also, too, I do think it's good that we get to see the top HBCU guys play each other, because we know out of conference scheduling, it's impossible for us to see everyone against everyone. It's really great to see some of these guys go up against the best players in the MEAC versus the SWAC and vice versa. And even some of the D2 guys, man, there's a kid, Isaac Anderson from Virginia Union. I think he's been a top 3 performer at practice. And I'm an FCS guy, so I didn't even know Isaac Anderson coming into the week. And I'm talking about he is dominating people in practice. And so for guys like that to be on the stage with some of the D1 HBCU players is huge. The one thing I'll say, and this has been a gripe for 4 years for me, we got to get rid of the custom helmets. They look great. They're always cool looking, and the paint, everything. It's impossible to tell who's who. They got the little sticker on the back of their helmet. Man, put the team in front of the camera. Like, we need to see Kendall Bowler in a FAMU helmet, because when we go see 3 ball out, we know that's Kendall Bowler. When we go see Elijah Williams plant someone today in one-on-ones, we know that's Elijah Williams because of the Morgan State helmet. I think that's the next step in kind of getting these guys, I would say, more out there. Because when you see highlights of the Senior Bowl guys, Bryan, even if you don't watch Minnesota football, if a Minnesota player goes make a play, you see that Minnesota helmet and you look them up immediately. And it's like, okay, that guy's on my radar now. Man, they see Kendall Bowler makes a big play. If they don't see the back of his helmet, Bryan, they'd have no idea who that is. That could be any number 3 out there.
Yeah, good point.
So that's, to me, that's the one thing I would like to see change moving forward.
That's a good point. I think if I see Gerald Thomas and you and other media guys talk about that enough, I think that might be one of those things that kind of
we've been pushing it. That's one thing we brought up to Doug. We got to talk to Doug Williams. We were like, please let them bring their helmets. Listen, if you want to use special helmets in the game, that's a little different, but in practice, it's too important to not know who it is.
Great point. Marcus, you got to keep going there. I know I jumped in there, but
I guess in terms of the overall experience of being in New Orleans and having the HBCU Bowl and the HBCU Combine, how much, especially in light of some players opting out of working out, how much of an appeal do you think it is to the players that are up and coming, who, especially now with the advent of NIL and people getting agents while they're in college, do some feel that perhaps it may not be as broad an opportunity? Or what's the general feel of the players who are there and some that you thought or think should be there?
I think they look at it as an opportunity. And to be fair, I've talked to a few coaches who are coaching, Jackson staffs down here. You got South Carolina State. They use this as a recruiting tool to keep players. Because, guys, and this is no shot, because he's one of my guys. I've had him on the show, and I love him, and I wish him the best. Gentle Hunt, if he stays at FAM, he gets to go to the Legacy Bowl and ball out. If Gentle doesn't get a Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl invite, know where he's got? Pro Day. Best you can hope for, Pro Day. But that Pro Day is probably not getting 32 scouts there. So you better hope your agent has a connect to get you into Ohio State's Pro Day, right? Or something like that, where you can get in front of more scouts. So it is kind of a recruiting tool. And I think a lot of these guys see it as a big opportunity. The guys who are opting out are guys, and this is a whole nother, I don't want to get on this tangent, but it's agents lying to players. It's agents telling their day 3 UDFA guys that they're safe, man. I mean, you don't need to run. Yes, he does. And so that's where that's coming from. But the players themselves love this opportunity, man. I talked to Teron Mallory today from Norfolk State. He actually had an injury that he suffered in the first practice, man, and he was heated about people not playing, because he was like, man, I'm hurt and can't play, and all I want to do is go out there and get some interceptions and put on film what I can do. And this is an opportunity that I think some of these guys have taken, I would say, for granted. But you look at some of the success stories, right, where Brandon Codrington was on the all-rookie team, and he probably doesn't even get a shot if he doesn't come down here and ball out. You look at Claude from Alcorn, the linebacker. He's on the active roster for the Panthers right now at linebacker, based strictly off of pretty much what he did in New Orleans. So there might not be anyone from this game that has gotten drafted yet. But guys, there's been so many players who have springboarded this into careers in the CFL, opportunities in the UFL, and all you need is a camp invite. I know everyone gets caught up on the lack of HBCU and FCS players drafted. All you need to do is get a camp invite and get your foot in the door, and then you go ball out on the field, and you're going to be just fine if you make a roster. Xavier Smith's another great one too. Mm-hmm. Without his performance in New Orleans, I don't know if he gets the opportunity he got.
No, definitely a great point regarding Xavier. Saw the piece that Steve Weich did with him that kind of went viral to kind of talk about his opportunity. But on the flip side of that, there's guys who didn't attend the Legacy Bowl that have had opportunities. Terrell Jennings being one guy who didn't get an opportunity. I know a lot of us in our circles, we talked about, Terrell should have been there, but he didn't get the invite, but still went on to get an opportunity. So, I mean, that's I guess they find you. The old saying is that I guess they find you. The tape doesn't lie.
Always.
They will find you, right?
Yeah. And there's some HBCUs that have started to kind of get that. I would say, because, guys, we all know this, like, you have to establish a pipeline. And it's hard to do. But FAMU, Jackson, North Carolina Central over the past years have sneakily put some guys into the league now that are starting to contribute. Programs like that, the scouts are going to give those programs a bit more leeway than they will a Texas Southern, a Valley, a Bethune-Cookman or something like that. Like, once you start kind of showing that, listen, you can come here and get some UDFAs. You can come here and get some PFA guys that are going to be able to make a practice squad, going to be able to contribute in preseason, things like that. It helps you. So, like, every single person you get to the league helps. And you see all these guys from FAM and Jackson and Central and, like, some of these recent guys go and be contributors. That's so big for the next guys coming up, because they're more willing to take a shot on a guy from FAM than they are another school that has never put a guy in a pro, or that they don't have any relationship with that university.
Does that still even apply when you have the coaching change? I mean, obviously FAMU went through a coaching change, and I think the other two schools you mentioned, their coaches have been there for at least 2 or 3 years.
I think so. I mean, because you even look, like, if we're taking it broad FCS, North Dakota State's had it over 4 coaches now. And so I just think it's up to that coaching staff to continue to produce guys. And so, like, this year, I think a guy that you guys have 2 guys who I think can do that. Kendall Bowler, I think, is good enough to make a roster somewhere. I don't know if he's going to be drafted. I think he's going to be a really high PFA, UDFA type of guy, but I think he's good enough to make a roster somewhere. And same, Jeremiah Pruitt, man. You can't teach what he has in terms of his athleticism, his size, his physicality. And so I think he's a guy who at tight end probably isn't going to get drafted right. There's not enough production there, but he's a guy that once he gets on the field in the right system with the right development, he could develop into a guy who's a fringe roster guy, even a practice squad guy, just with his athleticism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So the 5 guys who we have down there right now, of course, you mentioned Kendall. Number 3, you mentioned Jeremiah there. Number 0, of course, quarterback Daniel Richardson. Jamari Gassett. Number 2, offensive lineman Jalen Goss. Before we get into what we're seeing or what you're hearing, let's go through some of the combine information and numbers. And the thing that stands out for me was, and I've got to ask this, is Gassett's time. There was something that got tweeted out by Jamari, something about a 4.38. Then I started seeing some viral stuff about 4.38, and then I go and look at the official numbers, and it's a little bit different. So what is and what maybe is not, Zach? Can you clean up some things for us?
So with the official time, I want to say that's an average of all the, you guys, you've seen it with all the different stopwatches and stuff like that. But I do think I would say he's probably closer to a high 4.4 than he is a 4.55. I think he's going to run much faster at pro day. But at the same time, listen, man, a lot of these guys, I don't think people understand how excited these guys are, the adrenaline and everything that's going in. I think he runs better a second time. I really do. And I think Gassett, I'm not worried about his 40, man. 4.55 is still fast. Like, I don't think people understand that. And that's something that kind of frustrates me in the draft process. People really don't understand what 4.5 speed is. Like, that's still flying. And in a real 4.3 guy, they don't come around often, right? Like a true 4.3 where you see it on film and everything. I didn't have him as a 4.3 guy. I probably projected, like I said, high 4.4, but I think he'll run better. The one thing I would do like to see him improve on his vertical. I think Gassett's vertical, like for a wide receiver, especially his size, you would like to see the vertical higher than 30. I want to say he posted a 29.5. So I think that's going to be the next thing for him is to improve his vertical. And I think he can, I really do think when we get to the pro day, I would not be surprised to see Gassett run a 4.4.
All right. Daniel Richardson. Here's a guy who over 10,000 career passing yards. I'm impressed by his completion percentage in his career, which is why I was really excited about him coming to FAM this past year. But you look at his size; he's only 5'10". I'm thinking that's. Let me tell you, I'm on your site right now, so let me see what the official
5'9", 5'9", 203.
So even a little smaller. So what does that projection look like for a guy like Daniel Richardson? What are you hearing about his future opportunities, or what those windows look like?
I'll say this: he has a great agent. I got to meet her the first day. Love his agent. She does a heck of a job for him. I still think because of his size, guys, he's probably going to be someone you see go to a different league, whether that be CFL, UFL. Like, to me, I just don't see a 5'9", 200-pound quarterback making it in the NFL nowadays, especially unless they're athletic, like you see like a Kyler Murray or someone like that. But those type of athletes don't come around often. But even with his size, he only ran a 5.1, and vert wasn't great. 3-cone wasn't great. So I would just say he's probably, AFL, UFL, CFL, one of those type things. I will say this: he has made some really good throws this week in the team portion, in the 7-on-7 portion. The kid can spin it. And listen, you don't accidentally throw for 10,000 yards. So the kid can spin it. It's just, we see this, man. We saw it with Jason Dumas, right? Where the production was there. The kid couldn't be blocked, but his size at the end of the day, you can't bring a guy that size onto an NFL roster. So I don't see the NFL in the future for Daniel, but I do think he's good enough and has the experience to make it somewhere in another league, somewhere professionally.
Has Kendall shown cornerback coverage qualities that I keep hearing about? I mean, I know he had a good day at the Hula Bowl, or a good week at the Hula Bowl. Yeah. What do we hear about Kendall?
Everything that he's advertised. And the kid's just a playmaker. And I just think he's one of those guys, you bring him into camp and he's going to find a way to make a roster. He's going to find a way to be on the practice squad. Like, he's just that good. And if he doesn't, guys, he's an all-league guy in one of the other leagues. And that's the thing. Now, I think it might be UFL because, I mean, the word on the street is the CFL likes bigger corners, those taller guys. Now, so I don't know if Kendall will make the cut there, but just in terms of athleticism, maybe he ran a 4.5, had a 38-inch vertical, a 10.5 broad jump. Man, you just don't find that often. And his ability to play the ball, play multiple corner positions, I think a move to maybe slot corner would be in his best interest. But he's been playing a little bit of it. I want to say he played just slot at the Hula Bowl when he was down there. So he's shown his versatility to scouts. In my opinion, man, I don't think Kendall can do much to his stock, man. It's there. The film's there. The production's there. The combine performance was there. Kendall's shown all he needs to. All he needs is a team to give him a shot.
Mm-hmm. No question. And to that point, I don't recall of many quarterbacks testing Kendall this year, and with our run defense, I don't know to what degree they needed to test him because we were giving up a lot of run yards. But do you think that the absent or the lack of passes thrown his way has any impact on his perceived capabilities, or I want to say draftability, because the physical talents are there, but just not seeing enough action thrown his way this year impacted how pro scouts see him?
Maybe a little bit. I did talk to one scout who said that his junior film was way better than this year, in his opinion. That was just this one scout's opinion, and I don't necessarily disagree with him, man. I think Kendall's year, not this past season, but the year before, was arguably his best season, man. That kid was everywhere, and I think he had his best year. I think this year, like you said, I think the defense took a step back for FAM, and I do think it impacted him. I don't know if he was surrounded in the back end of the defense by as much talent either, which allowed teams to kind of scheme him out of the game. Because at one point, especially early in the season, I don't think FAM trusted the corner on the other side. So they would consistently go to the other side, and Kendall was just kind of over there by himself. And the few times he was tested, he answered the call, right? The big pick against Jackson and some of the other big plays he made this year. I don't think it hurts him, Marcus, but I do think it kind of raises an eyebrow for scouts. It's like, okay, is his junior year a blip? Or like, where's the baseline for him, right? Mm-hmm. Should we expect junior year more often, or is the senior year the kind of the baseline for him? And I do think his potential with the right development, you could see junior year Kendall every year, in my opinion. I really believe in him in his ability to play at that level every single year.
Thank you.
That reminds me a little bit about Isaiah Lamb's junior year versus his senior year. You know what I'm saying? Yes. He had such an amazing junior year that it was hard to replicate that the following year. And I know a lot of people had particular comments about Isaiah his senior year, but I mean, we saw what we saw his junior year. It wasn't no fluke, right? Yeah. What about Jalen Goss, offensive lineman? All SWAC performer. Jalen looks the part. What are you hearing about Jalen?
You aren't lying. I was over with one-on-ones today. And if you could just add like 25, 30 more pounds on him, man, that kid would be arguably the best offensive lineman here. It's just the knock against him is always going to be, can he keep the weight on? That was the knock against him at Florida State. That was the knock against him at FAMU. It's the knock against him now. I mean, standing next to him, he looks like he weighs like 250. Like, he's so skinny. But the thing I like about Jalen, I talked with Gerald Huggins about this today. He's so aggressive and he's so physical, and he has the length to kind of keep these power rushers from getting into his body, right? Because he can outreach them. And as long as he gets his hands on a guy and keeps him off his body, he's fine. And he brings the physicality that he matches energy with the edge rusher, with the defender. He had one of the better days today, in my opinion. Like, if I was to release like day 2 standouts, Jalen Goss would be on that list. He really impressed me today in one-on-ones, pass protection, and his ability to just to anger the edge. And also too, he's so long that he can reach inside. When they were doing some run drills in terms of reaching the 3-tech, he's so long and he takes such big strides, and his arms are so long that he can always reach. He always gets there, and he's so athletic and so quick. The problem is going to be, can he get into the right developmental system, the right nutrition, weightlifting system to put some weight on him? Because he's going to have to add about 30 pounds if he's going to play at the next level. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think Jalen Goss, if he just had the frame of if he could carry the weight like a Kirk Ford or someone like that, man, he would easily be the number 1 prospect, or even like a Carson Vincent, right? Because they're built kind of similar in terms of height and arm length and stuff, but Carson Vincent's 300 something pounds, and Jalen Goss is going to weigh in at like 265. That's really the main difference there. So I think Jalen has all the intangibles. He just doesn't have the weight on him right now, and that's going to be the big question: is can he get somewhere where he can keep the weight on him?
What does the rest of the week look like at the Legacy Bowl?
So we'll have practice again tomorrow. Probably be the same type of thing: one-on-ones, team install, things like that. Friday will usually just be a walkthrough. And then every night they have interviews, things like that. They'll have an event where they get out on the city and go do some, either community service experience, New Orleans, something like that. And then Saturday's the game, man. They'll be out of here after that. Most of the guys I've talked to have met somewhere between 15, 20 NFL teams already. So really starting to gain some traction. And there's some guys who have really, really improved their stock, man. And been a great event so far, man. I think Doug and them have done a good job. I will say, there's been some rumblings about some big changes coming, so just nobody panic. I mean, you've seen it. The Hula Bowl is pretty much done. You've seen the Gridiron Showcase kind of get done. There's talks that these All-Star games could be going away.
Wow.
With the extension of the postseason, right? You got the college football playoff playing until January 20th?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Combines next week. There's talks that potentially there could be a pro day, an HBCU pro day rather than a legacy bowl. So you just never know. But I would say this, man, they've done a heck of a job. Doug Williams and them have done a great job. But as we always say, you got to evolve with the times. And I think there's a world in the future where the senior shrine is it. And there's no second level all-star games. And then you just got a whole bunch of group pro days, right? Because I think talking to some scouts, man, the travel's impossible. Guys, they're down here in New Orleans. They got to be in Indy for a week and a half on Monday.
Okay.
And it's just
so do you think they're trying to find a way to get that HBCU pro day in Indy since all of those people are going to be there, or is that too much?
I think that's probably too much. What they'll probably do is have the NFL combine, and then as the pro day season comes along, they'll have the HBCU pro day with all the top guys. Because all the scouts will come, right? Because, I mean, really and truly, there's no difference between a pro day and a combine. Right. And it's just going to be reformatted. And that's not confirmed or anything, but there's been some rumblings that just the scouts and the NFL franchises want to change the postseason schedule just because there's so much to handle right now. And then you also got the UFL that's starting in a few weeks here.
Yeah, what is their I mean, given the fact that their league is already started, how much of a viable option are they? I mean, are they scouting? I mean, obviously they're available to get to games and scout, but I mean, how what's their formatting? What does it look like for that league?
So from an agent I talked to, is a lot of, so if your player is not an NFL guy, you're probably already in talks with the UFL and potentially have an offer, and really and truly they can pick you up right after. Let's just say Kendall doesn't get drafted, they can pick him up mid-season.
Okay. Wow.
If they wanted. I want to say there's a deadline somewhere in the season. Obviously, man, it's not going to be week 10. They bring you on and you're playing, but there's a point where you'll have some time to join, if you will. But a lot of the times, they'll agree on a deal and it'll be the next year, right? It'll just kind of keep you in shape, and they'll have the rights to you is what they call it. They'll have a UFL college draft. They'll draft the right. So let's just say the Houston team drafts Kendall Bowler. They'll have the rights to Kendall if he ever comes to the UFL. But let's just say Kendall gets a minicamp invite. He can go do all the NFL stuff. But then if he gets cut, the Houston team gets rights to Kendall if he wants to go the UFL route. It's kind of a good backup plan for a lot of these guys.
Right. I don't know if you know this. What's the average salary of the UFL?
No idea. I know I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's probably an average job salary, nothing like the NFL, but I don't know what the rookies are making or anything like that. I don't know if they even have a rookie pay scale or anything like that.
Gotcha. All right. Well, again, on this Saturday, HBCU Legacy Bowl, 4th annual HBCU Legacy Bowl at Tulane's Yeoman Stadium at 4 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network. Again, Jalen Goss, Daniel Richardson, Jamari Gassett, Jeremiah Pruitt, Kendall Bowler, all will be there representing the Orange and Green, representing FAMU there. Zach, let folks know how they continue to follow along with your coverage. Done a great job. Again, and definitely appreciate you coming on and talking with us and giving us some updates on our guys.
No, I appreciate you guys for having me, man. I always love to jump on the show. FCS Football Central on SI.com/college/FCS. Myself, Gerald Huggins, on there giving you guys all the updates. I'm actually about to post an article comparing defensive backs from the past 2 years at the Legacy Bowl that Gerald wrote earlier today. At Zach McKinnell on Twitter, at the Blue Bloods on YouTube, all podcast streaming platforms, and social media at the _ Blue Bloods, man. But I appreciate y'all, man, and I'll be keeping you guys updated on the FAMU Rattlers this weekend.
Man, appreciate it. Appreciate it. And if you get that coveted picture of all 4 guys, please tag us. Let us
I got
know.
you, man. I'll send it to you guys.
I know somebody will, but yeah, definitely tag us. So we appreciate
For
your
sure.
time tonight, Zach. Be well, and always appreciate your coverage, man.
Yep, appreciate you guys.
All right. All right, you guys make sure to follow Zach. Appreciate Zach for coming in and taking some time to chat with us. Anything you want to add there regarding the Legacy Bowl before we take a quick break and get ready to wrap up the show coming out of it, Marcus?
No, just looking forward to seeing how this catapults all the players, and especially the ones we've heard a lot about over the last couple of years between Kendall Bowler, Jada Byers, and other HBCU standouts, and how this propels their careers and future aspirations.
Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Coming back from this final break, we'll quickly recap baseball. Had a bit of a change they should have been playing today, but that game got postponed. So we'll talk about what's ahead for the baseball team and the big indoor track meet in Birmingham for our men and women's track. We'll close out the show and talk about that in just a moment. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loot machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Just a reminder, FAMU women's basketball taking on Alabama A&M in Huntsville tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. That's local time. I think Alabama A&M is on YouTube. I don't know if they're on a paywall or not, but I think you'll be able to watch that game online. We lost to them 58-54 last time we played them at home. Close ball game. Then there's the doubleheader in Montgomery against Alabama State. Both the men and women won the first meeting against Alabama State. So women will play at 2 o'clock Eastern, followed by the men at 4. Then on Monday, the men will travel to Huntsville and take on Alabama A&M. They won 95 something.
Yeah, I think won that one pretty handily, from what I recall.
Yeah, definitely did. So make sure to support them. Quick baseball recap. Of course, the home opener was this past weekend against UT Martin. The guys got off to a good start in that series, winning 4-2, winning game number 1 to open up the series. But unfortunately, the next two were not so kind as they lost 8-7 and 8-0. That was the doubleheader on Saturday. The game on Sunday was not played. It was canceled. So we ended up losing 2 of 3 that series. Yesterday was a game against North Florida. Lost that game 13-3. And then, of course, today's game against UF got postponed to March 19th.
Mhm.
Yeah, so just a quick update on baseball. I know you guys are noticing baseball's struggling, but are they really? I mean,
It's early in the season.
It's early in the season, guys. Come on now.
And as coaches said, and Kelvin has said multiple times, we're looking at, especially with a young team, feeling things out. You're not going to roll our number one pitcher out there every game trying to win games that don't get you into the tournament.
Exactly. I didn't pay attention to who won game 1. I'm assuming Caleb Granger won game 1.
I believe so. I think he was on the hill then.
All right.
And I thought we were going to pull out. Thought we were going to win game 2.
Game 2,
I saw that we came back and tied it up. I think we had a lead. We hit a 2-out homer, then ended up tying at 7-7. And then next thing I know, I hit refresh and we lost 8-7. So I thought we were going to get that one too. The first game of the doubleheader on Saturday.
Now this weekend starts the second series, and it's the Andre Dawson Classic. Of course, the FAMU legend and Major League Baseball Hall of Famer hosting a classic down at the Jackie Robinson Training Complex down in Vero Beach. You can see the teams that are participating. You've got Southern, Prairie View, the University of Missouri, Jackson State, Alabama State, Alabama A&M, and Grambling. I had the chance to see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those teams. We're going to see some. We're in for some good ball this weekend. So if you're in the Vero Beach area, and there's the schedule. Of course, on Friday night we play University of Missouri. Now, I think if you're wondering why Missouri, I believe their head coach is a former Grambling either alum, player, or coach. I know there's a tie with Grambling University from the head coach at Missouri. So that is sort of a little bit of how maybe they ended up in this thing. Now, Southern, I've seen Southern on a couple occasions. Southern's a good ball club. And I'll tell you, Alabama A&M, probably the most interesting game that I saw over the weekend, Marcus. They were down 14-10 in the bottom of the 8th inning with 2 outs.
Ooh.
And number 9 hitter gets on base, right? I think a walk, might have got on walk. He proceeded to steal second, then steal third, and sure enough, on a 3-2 pitch, Marcus, he steals home.
3-2. Oh my gosh.
Steals home on a 3-2. That run sparked a 4-run inning against Grambling. They tied the game up against Grambling 14-14 and ended up winning in the bottom of the 9th inning 15-14. Hell of a comeback. And the thing I saw about that Alabama A&M team, there's a team who was like 13-38, 9-20 in conference play last year. They got runners on base every game. And it wasn't until that last game that they finally started getting guys home. So, look, I mean, Southern is a good squad, but A&M really impressed the heck out of me. And I think if people, we all chalked that as wins up last year. A&M was not going to be an easy win this year for people. So get down there if you can and support these games at the Classic. All right. Final note here, Marcus. The indoor track championships are in Birmingham this weekend.
All right.
Track and field. Set to take on the SWAT. Let me see if I can, it's kind of, I don't have much to go on. So unfortunately, kind of a little blind here. Let's see. The indoor championships are at the Birmingham Crossplex beginning the 22nd and 23rd. Of course, don't forget last year Our women won the indoor team trophy. So we're looking to repeat there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we've been feeling really good about the men's opportunities and chances, have we not?
Yeah, in the early season, we've seen a few accolades on the men's side, so they're starting to come around. We know the women have been holding it down the last couple of years, but it seems as though the men, with the accumulated talent and training that's been going on, look like they're going to make some noise as well.
All right. So that'll be worth paying attention to. A great follow for those of you on social media is at HBCU Track.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the handle, right?
Yes, or HBCU Track and Field. I have to look at it. Or maybe that's the title that they have, not the. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, actually, you're right. It's HBCU Track _Field. HBCU Track _Field. Outstanding account to follow for HBCU Track. I say that because I don't know exactly what our social media team is like now that, obviously we're in flux in that period since Padilla. So I don't really know. I know FAMU, I think track and field has been posting some things, but when I tell you full complete coverage, so if you, and it will be aired on the SWAC Digital Network on YouTube. So you can watch the event on the SWAC Digital Network. So I encourage you all to get tuned in, locked in, SWAC Digital Network on YouTube beginning the 22nd, which is, what day is that? Saturday? 22nd is Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah, 22nd is Saturday, 23rd Sunday also. So make sure to take a look at that or follow HBCU Track _Field. Golf, real quick. The golf men are, let's see, they have the Arcis HBCU Championship in Weston, Florida, Sunday and Monday, February 23rd to 24th. That's where they are. So you get a chance to see them. I think they just come back from Savannah Intercollegiate. I don't have any results. Do we have any results posted from that, Marcus, on the sheet? I didn't look, so I'm guilty of that.
I haven't seen anything. No.
Yeah. All right. So we'll try to update you as we come across any information. But again, they play on Sunday and Monday. Tennis. Our ladies played on Sunday against Florida State. They lost 4-0. And on Saturday, they're in Jacksonville, Alabama, taking on Jacksonville State. That's 1:00 Eastern. Then on Sunday at 1:00 Eastern, they're in Birmingham, taking on UAB. So a good weekend up in the Alabama area. Jacksonville State on Saturday, Birmingham on Sunday. So again, good Lord, every team that we have right now playing? Everybody's playing this weekend.
Yep, everybody's getting some action.
Yes, everybody's in action. So yes, Edwin, the HBCU Track and Field. I don't know if they have a website or not. I know that's an X Twitter handle. HBCU Track _Field. That's a Twitter handle. But again, you can watch all the coverage of the SWAC Indoor on the SWAC Digital Network is where you can watch it all. And yeah, everybody's playing, Marcus. Everybody. So it's a busy sports weekend. I told you this is that weekend that HBCU administrators, or at least the SIDs, they won't say it publicly, but behind closed doors, they hate this period because everybody's working. They are so spread. Well, I mean, look at it, Marcus. I mean, in all reality, they are so spread thin as it is. Now I'm saying, hey, I need you to cover this, cover that, write stories. And if you're in a situation like FAMU right now where we don't have a full-time SID, we're still getting it. It's coming. I mean, we got a lot of people working extra to make stuff possible. So I'm going to echo what Vaughn said during the 220 Club. Be patient. Be patient, Rattler Nation. We will we will be there to supply whatever information we can. I know our good friend Keith, Things Up Podcast, FQ FAMU, he will post as much info as he can. I know Ashley and Fang Exchange will post information. I mean, we're going to support our athletic department in any way we can. So yeah. Yeah. What are you saying? How thin are they spread? Real thin, Edwin. How thin? Real thin. Like deli meat sliced cheese thin. That's how thin.
Yeah.
Marcus, any closing thoughts? Anything that we didn't mention that you wanted to get in there, sir?
Real quick, because the alarm's about to go off. But let me see. Let me go with the notes. Just from Coach Gokhan earlier today for volleyball. Some things that I noted. He said out of 18 players we had for the championship team, 10 graduated, so we're returning 8. We've added 1 player already in the transfer cycle of Victoria Santana from the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. So we have 9 players. He expects to get up to 15. He did mention we have 2 high school signees. One we already know about. We actually posted her signing in November. And that's, I think, Kristen Moore out of Ashland, Virginia. So, of course, that set me on a hunt for the second player. And I think I may have found that player. And her name is Brandy Boston. I believe it to be Brandy Boston. She's a middle hitter, about 6'3", plays for Sierra Canyon High School in California. And her team seems like to be pretty much a California powerhouse. They lost in the regional finals to Mater Dei, mostly known for football. Mater Dei High School dominating in California State football, but they lost to them in the regional finals in a 5-set match. And she committed last July. So I just happened to come across it tonight after I did a hunt. But I have not seen where she's any video imagery of her signing, either from last November or from during this signing period. But there is an Instagram video that looks like it came out about a week ago where she's talking to her club and someone from her club team representation. And she's talking about her commitment. She's got on FAM stuff. So hopefully that continues. And hopefully that means she signed. The other thing that Coach Gokhan mentioned is that Gaither Gym may be getting worked on. Someone in the audience asked, would that be this year? He said probably not with the scope of work or level of work that needs to be done. But eventually the thought process is that Gaither Gym would be the home to FAMU volleyball and allow basketball to practice on as needed, but the thought being that it'll be renovated for FAMU volleyball as the home court. And he also mentioned that the weekend of the Albany State football game will also be a tournament hosted by FAMU on campus for volleyball. So
he didn't mention the teams, did he? He didn't mention anything about
He did mention some teams, and hopefully, if Coach Gokhan's listening, and if we get folks in SID or some very innovative interns, maybe we can have a scheduled release video for volleyball to celebrate that. But I think he did mention that some of the teams we played away last year will be doing a return trip. I believe he mentioned specifically Georgia State. I want to say Louisiana. I don't know if it's Monroe or Lafayette. I can't remember which one. But some of the schools we played last year will be giving us a return trip for that weekend or sometime. But I think it's that weekend of the home series, the same as the Albany State football game weekend. And volleyball team has 1,000 APR.
Nice. Kelvin gives an update here regarding Gaither. Says the floor is ready. PA, scoreboard, locker rooms, and signage still needed. So,
yes, he did say that.
Yeah, remember we were previously the floor had been seriously damaged. So good to see that the floor is done. And the other said, look.
Well, two questions. And 2 things, and then I gotta be like my man on the GIF. But
I mean, we'll close out together here.
Edwin Moore, he said,
yeah.
I know we had talked about Edwin Moore, and he talked about Southern using their gym, women's gym. We've been talking about that ever since they created the Lawson Center, when it was a multi-purpose gym, was that other schools have converted their former facilities into athletic facilities for some Olympic sports. Like you look at Carmichael Arena at University of North Carolina and Tully Gym at Florida State, where they convert, those were the primary units, but once they got larger facilities, they use it for their Olympic sports specifically. So, I've been hoping for that for like 10, 15 years. And Johnny Thornton, I'm not sure what.
Pay him no mind. No, he's he's messing, trying to figure out, like, he's messing.
No, I understand that. I understand that, but
love you, Johnny.
To regional HBCU, and plus one of our distinguished alums is a football coach. So
exactly.
And it's close.
Yes, it's close. And I appreciate you, Jeremiah Clark. Continue to correct me. Carrick Jackson is a former Southern head coach. He's now the head coach of Missouri, not Grambling. So, there it is. Once again, continually being corrected all weekend by Jeremiah. But I appreciate it. I'm okay being wrong. I wasn't wrong about Coach Crary, though. I wasn't wrong. Some things I'm gonna get right. And I'm gonna poke my chest out and talk my ish when I'm right about certain things, right? Okay. You buried the lead. The one thing you left off on the Coach Gokhan thing, Marcus. Guess who's gonna be hosting the SWAC volleyball tournament?
I missed it in the notes. Yep, it's gonna be at FAMU this year.
Hosting the 2025 SWAC volleyball tournament. So breaking news by Coach Gokhan at the 220 Club today. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So we'll get a chance to host, and obviously we've been to 4 straight championships, won 3 of the last 4 since we've been in, and so there it is. Good stuff.
And likely it'll be in Lawson, because once again, an audience asked if Gaither would be ready by the time, or be ready this season. He said not likely.
But what it gives an opportunity for, it gives you a good practice facility, right? If you have the games in Lawson, the tournament in Lawson, I think you can obviously you can have the offsite gym or the Gaither as an opportunity for teams to warm up and practice, and it is good. So yeah. Kelvin said, what about the 2 6'4" volleyball recruits?
Yeah, I think that's I'll speak to Kirsten Moore. Even though what I found says she was 6'2", but I think he said the 2 high school recruits were 6'4". So that's Kirsten Moore out of Virginia, and the other young lady I just happened to find this evening when I got home, Brandy Boston out of California. So she's listed as 6'3", but 6'3", 6'4", somewhere around that time. So we're getting bigger from the high school standouts. And he said we had someone come in this week. I'm assuming that means someone's in school this week, and an official visit coming up this weekend. So we'll see. Keep an eye out on that as well to see what names drop out.
Sounds good. Had a good time. It won't be too late tonight. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thanks again to Zach McKinnell, FCS Football Central on SI. FCS Central on SI. Did I say it right the first time? I think I said it right the first time. FCS Football Central on SI is where you can find him. Make sure you check out all. Again, FAMU is all over the place this weekend. Beginning tomorrow, we are heavy on FAMU athletics from Thursday all the way to Monday. So everybody is playing, all sports and former players football. Wow, what a great weekend to be a Rattler. Make sure you are retweeting and sharing on all your social media pages, not just our page, but make sure our friends as well. Bang Exchange, Bangs Up Podcast. Keith will be on tomorrow night. 8 o'clock Eastern, I believe. Any parts of our show that you missed, you can also pick it up on the BCSN Pod Zone, where you can get all of the Black College Sports Network shows. So again, Kelvin Rozier, we hope you feel better. Man in the chat room, and we look forward to hearing his voice again next Wednesday. So that's going to do it for tonight. For Marcus Green, I'm Bryan Fulford. You've been watching the O&G Strike Zone. Thank you for watching and supporting our show as you do. Peace out, family. Fangs up, and make sure to strike, and strike again. Hey, let's go.